My wife handed me divorce papers right as my name was called on stage. The applause didn't stop, neither did I. I signed every page slowly, leaned in and said one sentence. 3 months later, someone from that room finally understood what it meant. I'm 42, and I've spent the last 18 years building something from nothing. My wife and I met in college, got married young, struggled through my startup years together. She worked a regular job while I poured everything into my business, late nights, missed dinners, weekends at the office. She supported me through it all, or so I thought. We had 2 kids along the way, now teenagers. The business finally took off about 5 years ago. Real success, the kind that changes your life. Awards, recognition, financial security we'd never had before. Last month, I was nominated for an Industry Achievement Award, one of those big deals where everyone who matters shows up. Black tie event, 500 people in attendance, live streamed to thousands more. My wife knew about it for months. We'd bought her dress together, planned the whole evening. She seemed excited, proud even. The night of the event, we got ready at home. She looked beautiful, but something was off. She was quiet, kept checking her phone, wouldn't meet my eyes. I asked if she was okay. She said she was fine, just nervous about the crowds. I believed her. We arrived at the venue around 6. Cocktail hour, networking, the usual. She stayed close to me at first, smiling for photos, making small talk with people she'd met over the years at these things. But as the evening went on, she started drifting. I'd look around and she'd be on her phone in a corner or talking to someone I didn't recognize. Around 7:30, they started seating people for dinner. We found our table, front and center, because I was a nominee. She sat next to me, barely touched her food, kept checking her phone under the table. I leaned over and whispered, "Everything all right?" "Fine," she said, but her jaw was tight. The program started around 8. Awards presentations, speeches, videos honoring the nominees. My category was 3rd from last. As they moved through the program, my wife got more and more tense. Her leg was bouncing under the table. She kept glancing at the exits. Finally, around 9:15, they got to my category. They showed a video about my work, my company, my journey. I watched myself on the screen talking about perseverance and sacrifice and believing in your vision. The camera panned to our table a few times, showing my wife smiling proudly. Then they announced the winner. My name. The room erupted in applause. People at my table stood up. My colleagues were congratulating me, patting my back. I started to stand, started to head toward the stage. That's when my wife reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. She handed it to me, right there, in front of everyone, as my name was being called again over the speakers. "Sign these," she said. I looked at the envelope, looked at her. "What?" "Divorce papers. Sign them, now." The applause didn't stop. People were still clapping, still waiting for me to walk up to the stage. The host was gesturing for me to come up. Cameras were on me. I opened the envelope. Sure enough, divorce petition, already filed, just needed my signature. I looked at my wife. She was staring straight ahead, stone-faced. "You're serious?" "Sign them." "Right now? Here?" "Yes." I don't know what came over me. Maybe shock, maybe something else. But I didn't argue, didn't make a scene. I pulled out the pen she'd included in the envelope and signed every page. Slowly, methodically. While the applause finally started to die down and people began to wonder why I wasn't moving, I finished the last signature, put the papers back in the envelope, and handed them to her. Then I leaned in close and said one sentence, "I hope it's worth what you're about to lose." She didn't react, just took the envelope and put it back in her purse. Then I stood up, buttoned my jacket, and walked to the stage like nothing had happened. Update 1, I gave my acceptance speech. Don't remember a word of it. Something about gratitude and hard work and the people who supported me. I thanked my wife from the stage. She smiled and waved. Everyone applauded. No one knew what had just happened at that table. After the ceremony, there was a reception. More networking, more photos. My wife disappeared immediately, just vanished. I looked for her, but couldn't find her. Finally, texted her. No response. Called. Straight to voicemail. I stayed at the event for another hour, playing the part, smiling, shaking hands, posing with my award. Inside, I was numb. Completely numb. Around 11, I went to the parking lot. Our car was gone. She'd driven us there. I called a car service, went home. The house was dark. Her car wasn't in the driveway. The kids were at her parents' place for the weekend. We'd arranged that before the event. I went inside, changed out of my tuxedo, sat in the living room with my award on the coffee table. Waited. She didn't come home. At 2 in the morning, I got a text. I'm staying at a hotel. We'll talk tomorrow. I didn't sleep. Just sat there replaying the evening. The way she'd handed me those papers, the timing of it, the calculation. She'd planned this, planned to humiliate me at the biggest moment of my career. But why? The next morning, she came by to get some clothes. I was in the kitchen when she walked in. We need to talk, I said. Not yet. I'll have my lawyer contact yours. You don't even want to explain? After 18 years, you hand me divorce papers in public and that's it? You know why. I really don't. She stopped and looked at me. Don't play dumb. I know about her. Her who? Your assistant. The one you're always with, always traveling with, always texting. My assistant? She's 53 years old and married with grandchildren. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. There's nothing between me and anyone. I've been working, building this company, for us, for our family. Sure, that's why you've missed every important event for the past 5 years, every recital, every game, every birthday. I've been at most of them. No, you haven't. You've been at your office, or traveling, or at events like last night, living your life, while I raised our kids alone. That's not fair. You knew what building a business required. You supported it. I supported you when we were struggling, when you needed me to believe in you. But once you made it, once you got successful, you forgot about us. This family became something you checked in on between meetings. That's not true. It is true. And I'm done. I'm done being the supportive wife while you collect awards and live like you're single. She grabbed her bag and left. I stood there trying to process. Was she right? Had I been that absent? I pulled out my phone and looked at my calendar. The past year of my life. She wasn't wrong. I'd missed a lot. Not because I was cheating, there was no affair, but because I'd been consumed by work, by success, by the next deal, the next milestone, the next award. But divorce papers? At the award ceremony? That was calculated cruelty. That was revenge. Update 2. The next few days were a blur of lawyers and paperwork. She wanted primary custody, the house, half of everything. My lawyer said she'd filed weeks ago, had been planning this for at least a month. The timing at the award ceremony hadn't been impulsive. It had been intentional. I asked my lawyer why. Why do it there, in front of everyone? He shrugged. Hurt people hurt people. Maybe she wanted you to feel what she's been feeling. Public humiliation, embarrassment, being made to look like a fool. But I hadn't humiliated her, hadn't embarrassed her. I'd just been absent, working, providing, or so I thought. A week after the ceremony, I got a call from a colleague who'd been there that night. Hey, I need to tell you something about your wife. What about her? At the event, after you went on stage, she left with someone. Who? I don't know his name, but they were close, holding hands. He had his arm around her. Are you sure it was her? Positive. Red dress. That's why I remembered. She'd been sitting at your table all night. Then the second you went up for your award, she left with this guy. I thanked him and hung up. Sat there processing. She left with someone. At my event. Right after handing me divorce papers. I called my lawyer. I need you to hire an investigator. You think there's someone else? I know there is. The investigator worked fast. Within 3 days, he had a name and a timeline. My wife had been seeing someone for 8 months. A guy she met through a friend. He was at the awards ceremony as someone's +1. They'd planned to leave together that night. The divorce papers were her way of ending things with me publicly before starting her new life with him. 8 months. That meant she was seeing him before she even filed. Before she bought that dress for the ceremony, before any of the planning, she'd brought him to my award ceremony. Let him watch her hand me divorce papers, made a spectacle of ending our marriage at my moment of professional triumph, then left with him while I gave my acceptance speech. I sent her a text. I know about him. I know he was there that night. I know you left with him. No response for hours. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. The investigator has photos, time-stamped, from the event, you leaving with him, from the last 8 months, all of it. This time she called. You had me followed? After you blindsided me with divorce papers, yes. I wanted to know why. I told you why. You were never here. You chose work over us. And you chose someone else, while we were still married, while lying to me about why you wanted a divorce. She was quiet. You said you were done being the supportive wife. But you weren't supporting me for the last 8 months. You were cheating on me. And you had the nerve to humiliate me in public, to make me look like the villain when you were the one having an affair. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You wanted me to look like the absent husband so you could play the victim, so no one would blame you for leaving. But you didn't just leave. You cheated. For months. And you brought him to my event. He didn't know what I was going to do. I don't care. You don't get to rewrite this. You don't get to make me the bad guy when you're the one who betrayed our marriage. I hung up, forwarded all the investigators' reports to my lawyer. Everything changed after that. Update 3. The divorce proceedings got uglier. Once my lawyer presented evidence of her affair, her lawyer tried to downplay it, said it was irrelevant, that the marriage was already over. My lawyer argued she'd been planning the divorce while actively cheating, which showed intent to deceive and manipulate. The judge wasn't happy about it. Didn't change the financial split much, we lived in a no-fault state, but it did change the custody arrangement. Her affair partner had a record. Nothing serious, but DUIs and some other things that made the judge uncomfortable with him being around my kids unsupervised. She got custody, but with restrictions. He couldn't be at her place when the kids were there for the first 6 months. After that, they'd revisit based on circumstances. She was furious, blamed me for dragging her personal life into court. I reminded her she'd dragged our divorce into a professional ceremony with 500 witnesses. She hung up. The kids were caught in the middle, which was the worst part. They knew something was wrong, but didn't know details. I tried to keep it civil around them. She did too, mostly. But there were slip-ups, comments made in frustration, accusations. They heard things they shouldn't have. My son, 16, asked me one day, "Did Mom really have a boyfriend before you guys decided to divorce?" I didn't lie. Yes, that's messed up. It's complicated. Adults make mistakes. It's still messed up, especially what she did at your award thing. I heard about it from someone at school. Their parents were there. That hurt. The kids had heard through the grapevine. The spectacle had reached them. I'm sorry you had to find out that way. It's not your fault, Dad. But it felt like my fault. All of it. For being absent, for prioritizing work, for not seeing what was happening in my own marriage until it exploded publicly. Update 4. 3 months after the award ceremony, I got a call from someone who'd been in that room that night. A business associate I'd known for years but wasn't particularly close with. "Can we meet for coffee?" he asked. "Sure. What's this about?" "I'd rather discuss it in person." We met the next day. He looked uncomfortable, kept stirring his coffee without drinking it. "I need to tell you something," he finally said. About that night. The awards ceremony. Okay. I was sitting 3 tables away from you. I saw what happened. Saw your wife hand you something. Saw you sign papers. I didn't know what they were at the time, but it was obvious something heavy was happening. Yeah, divorce papers. I know. I figured it out later when word spread, but that's not why I'm here. Then why? After you went on stage, after you gave your speech, I was walking to the bathroom. I passed your table. Your wife and that guy she left with, they didn't know I was there. They were tucked in a corner, celebrating, drinking champagne, laughing. My stomach turned. Celebrating. Yeah. I heard her say something. It stuck with me. She said, "Perfect timing. He'll never recover from this. Everyone will remember him signing our divorce papers at his big moment. That's his legacy now." I sat back in my chair, felt something cold wash over me. She was gloating, he continued, about humiliating you, about timing it that way. She planned it to hurt you as much as possible, to tie your achievement to your marriage falling apart, so you could never separate the two. And you're telling me this now because I've been sitting with it for 3 months, feeling guilty. You didn't deserve that. No one deserves that. And I thought you should know that it wasn't just a divorce. It was calculated. It was meant to wound you permanently. I thanked him for telling me. He apologized for not saying something sooner. I told him I understood. After he left, I sat there for a long time, thinking about what he'd said. About the sentence I'd whispered to her that night. I hope it's worth what you're about to lose. She thought she was taking something from me. My moment, my dignity, my peace. She thought she was winning. But 3 months later, someone from that room finally understood what it meant, what I'd meant. She'd lost everything that actually mattered, her integrity, her reputation, her relationship with her kids, who now looked at her differently, her moral high ground. She'd wanted to humiliate me, but she'd ended up revealing who she really was to everyone who mattered. Update 5. I showed the kids the award a few weeks later. They'd asked to see it. It had been sitting in my office, still in its case. "That's really cool, Dad," my daughter said. "I'm proud of you." "Thanks, sweetheart." "Mom said she was there when you won." "She was. She said it was a great night." I didn't respond to that. Didn't correct her or tell them what really happened beyond what they already knew. They'd figure it out eventually. They were smart kids. My son picked up the award, looked at it. "You worked really hard for this." I did. Was it worth it? The award? Yes. What it cost? I don't know yet. Do you regret it? Working so much? I regret not being more present for you guys. That's what I regret. Not the work itself, but the balance. I got that wrong. Yeah, he said. You kinda did. I'm trying to do better now. We notice. That meant something. More than the award, more than the applause, more than any of it. My ex moved in with her affair partner about 4 months after the divorce was finalized. The kids met him. They were polite but distant. My son told me it was weird. My daughter said she didn't like him. I told them to give it time, be respectful, but they didn't have to force a relationship. Her new relationship lasted about 8 months total before it fell apart. I heard through mutual friends that he'd been unfaithful. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. She'd left her marriage for someone who ended up doing to her what she'd done to me. She called me one night, crying. I made a mistake. About what? Everything. The divorce. The way I handled it. Him. All of it. Okay. I was angry. I felt neglected. But I handled it wrong. Yes, you did. Can we talk? About maybe trying again? No. Just like that? No. Just like that. You didn't just divorce me. You humiliated me. Publicly. Intentionally. You wanted to hurt me, and you succeeded. But you also showed me who you are when you're hurt and angry. And I don't want to be married to that person. I've changed. Maybe you have. But I've changed too. I've moved on. I'm dating someone. Someone kind. Someone who communicates. Someone who doesn't weaponize my successes against me. She was quiet for a long time. I really did love you, you know. I know, I loved you too. But love isn't enough when there's no respect, and you didn't respect me. Not at the end. I'm sorry. I know, but sorry doesn't undo what you did. Final update. It's been 1.5 years since that night, since my name was called and my wife handed me divorce papers in front of 500 people, since I signed them slowly and walked on stage like nothing had happened. The award sits in my office now. I look at it sometimes. It doesn't carry the weight it used to. It's just a thing, recognition for work I'm proud of, but it's not my legacy. My kids are my legacy. The relationships I'm rebuilding with them. The balance I'm finally learning. My ex and I are civil now, co-parenting, splitting holidays. She apologized formally about 6 months ago, really apologized, acknowledged the cruelty of what she'd done, said she'd been seeing a therapist and working through why she'd wanted to hurt me so badly. I accepted the apology, but made it clear we were never getting back together. She's dating someone new, someone stable apparently. The kids met him and said he's okay, better than the last one. I hope it works out for her sake and theirs. I'm still with the woman I mentioned. We're taking it slow. She knows the whole story. Was actually at the awards ceremony that night, though at a different table. Didn't know what had happened until we started dating and I told her. She said she remembered seeing me sign something, but thought it was a contract or autograph request. When I told her it was divorce papers, she was horrified. Who does that? She'd said. Someone who wants to hurt you more than they want to protect themselves, I'd answered. The story got around. People in the industry know. Some think my ex was justified, that I was an absent workaholic who got what he deserved. Others think what she did was beyond cruel. I don't really care anymore what people think. I know the truth. I wasn't perfect. I was absent more than I should have been. But I was faithful. I was working for our family, and I didn't deserve to be publicly humiliated as punishment. The sentence I said to her that night, I hope it's worth what you're about to lose. She finally understood it about 6 months after everything fell apart, when her affair partner left her, when her kids started keeping her at arm's length, when she realized that in trying to destroy my moment, she'd destroyed her own credibility. 3 months later, someone from that room, my business associate, finally understood what it meant too. And he told me what she'd said in that corner. About perfect timing. About legacy. About making sure I could never separate my achievement from my humiliation. But here's what she didn't understand. I did separate them. The award is just an award. My real achievement is rebuilding my relationship with my kids. Being present. Being the father they deserved all along. That's my legacy, not a trophy, not a ceremony, not even the business. She tried to take my moment, tried to make it about her revenge, but in the end, she just revealed who she'd become, and everyone who mattered saw it clearly. I'm 42 years old. I'm divorced. I have an award that's supposed to represent the pinnacle of my career, but it doesn't. The pinnacle is the conversation I had with my son last week, where he told me he was proud of how I'd handled everything, proud of how I'd focused on them instead of on being angry, proud of who I'd become after everything fell apart. That's worth more than any award, more than any applause, more than any recognition from strangers. My ex thought she was taking something from me that night, but what she actually did was free me. Free me from a marriage that had become toxic. Free me from my own workaholic patterns. Free me to become someone better. So yeah, I signed those papers slowly, walked on stage, said one sentence, and 3 months later, someone finally understood what it meant. It meant she'd lost. Not me. And 1.5 years later, everyone can see it.